What's up, you guys? James Strickland here. Welcome to week 17 on my road to 700 pounds on bench press. Hanging out today in the wonderful gym of Woodland Strength and Conditioning in Spring, Texas. Taking the last couple of warm-ups here, 4 or 5, moving pretty quick. Feeling awesome. This is actually done on Sunday before Christmas Eve, Monday this week. 495 here for our last single here. Moved really fast, excited. Actually, my warm-ups all the way from 315 on up felt very, very good today. Normally, they don't start feeling decent, or at least telling me where I'm at until I get to my singles. 315 moved like a bat out of hell. 405, obviously, you saw moving, and 495 there on the last set moved really, really fast. Going to 575, I believe, on this one as kind of a middle ground. Today's workout calls for 600 for a triple, which will be a PR if I get it. My best is basically 2.5 about a year and a half ago with 600. So here we go with last heavy single. Idea here was to throw it through the roof. Looking at it on video, I am extremely happy with that. No problems whatsoever. It didn't move in my mind during the lift as fast as I wanted it to. I literally wanted it to fly up as fast as the 495, but let's face it, it's almost 600 pounds, so I will take it. But just that mentality coming in pretty aggressive today, definitely wanting to take care of business. You know, I'm always very serious when I come into workout, but when I have a PR on the line, it puts me into a different mindset altogether, very much like a meet situation. So this is 600 pounds on the bar. Jessica Belt, a world-renowned powerlifter and physique competitor, just coming off a show, very lean, and coming back into powerlifting. So this morning weighed at about 289, so I'll definitely be bulking up over the Christmas days here. Very happy with the explosion. Could have paused it a little bit longer. Definitely wanting to stay tight there. Extremely happy with that. That is a PR for a triple. Very, very excited. This is a different view here. Stayed in the groove. Happy. She did actually didn't know what I was going for on a single or a triple. I thought we had discussed it earlier in the workout, but I think just with the height of excitement of everything, didn't communicate with her. That was my fault. Moving on here, got some paused speed bench. This is 515 for 3 sets of 3. Happy with the way this looks and feels. Getting in a little bit more volume still, but not as much as the previous weeks. We are scaling back the volume a little bit. We are 6 weeks out from the competition, February 9th. At the IPA No Excuses meet. It's going to be at the Nathaniel Center in Kingwood, Texas. It is put on by Tiny Meeker. Many of y'all know him as has the record for the heaviest bench shirt bench of 1,100 plus pounds. I think it was 1102 to be exact. Showing you guys a little bit of how I set up here on an upward angle. If you guys want to go back and look at this, kind of see the dynamics of my speed bench. Hitting the same spot every time, firing up. If you want to go back and kind of see how I retract my scapula and get into position, it's literally the exact same no matter what the weight is. And moving on here, I've got some reverse band bench, starting off with, let's see, that was 515. Moving on to 615. This is just getting heavier so that we can feel heavier weight, get a little bit of help at the bottom with the bands so that it's not so much stress on the chest just yet. We're not ready for that. And moving up to the top set here with 660. Felt extremely heavy at the top, but felt great coming back up after that pause. I think it's just, well, I know what it is. It's basically I haven't handled that kind of weight in a while, and so here's another side view. Those bands are taken off about 90 or so right at the chest, and then as soon as I've come off the chest, that weight comes back on pretty quick. So I'm definitely feeling 660 pounds at the top. once I felt it that first, when I unracked it, it definitely surprised me because I haven't held that kind of weight in a while. But after pressing it up, I am very excited that that will be raw here very, very soon. Moving on to 2 sets of 5 on weighted dips. This is 235 pounds. I am using a Rogue loading pin. You can get it on their website. It's like literally like 14 bucks plus shipping. It really helps with loading the weights on those instead of having them fan out and having a chain with those weights going vertically. You can lay them horizontally. The bar does sway a little bit, but that's with anything, honestly. On these, you just got to really stay in the groove. I thought these were going to be a lot harder than they were, but these really, really went well. We're going to be going heavier for these next week, obviously, and leading up to the meet. These are great for working, obviously, the triceps. You want to pause them at the top, really get a good contraction up there. Get down, but not too low. You don't want to go past parallel typically. Typically stop a little bit short of it just to keep some pressure on the pecs. I don't want to go down too far and get out of the groove and put myself in a kind of a bind. But these really went off without a hitch. Weighted dips are really coming along. Of course, when my weighted dips get heavier, my bench gets heavier. So that's a perfect scenario. So moving on to some seal rows. These are RPE 6, 7, and 8. 3 sets of 5. Went just 225. Kind of hit the bottom of the bench there. So making some adjustments. Wrapped it up with a band to give me a little more clearance. Moving on to second set with 315. These feel really good. Getting some rows in here, seal rows. And this is 405 for the last set. Lost balance on the last rep a little bit here, but still completed everything. And that's it for the seal rows. So moving on to some dumbbell paused floor flies. This is 3 sets of 10 with 60 pounds. And I believe this first video here is with 40 pounds. I read the programming wrong, so I used it as a warm-up set and then continued on with the 60s after this. Pecs are definitely, they feel it on the first set, so this is definitely good to have a warm-up set here just to get everything kind of stretched out and warmed up. Even though I had done bench and weighted dips, chest is fried at this point, so this is literally, it's tight. I needed something to kind of stretch them out without technically stretching. I don't want to do any static stretching during my workouts. It just doesn't work out too well for me. Plus, there's a history behind muscle tears when you go and do static stretching, especially when you're cold, and then go and do some contraction with heavy weight. Just doesn't seem to work out too well. But last week you guys watched the deload on week 16. If you haven't, feel free to check it out. Definitely feeling a lot better. Deloads are just weird sometimes. It's very rare that I don't feel like crap on a deload. And mostly that's just due to the 3 previous weeks of super heavy weight piling up and the fatigue. And that is definitely needed. That deload is definitely needed to strip off some of that fatigue, get some good recovery in, and come back super strong. I typically don't come back feeling 100% the first week after a deload because I am still stripping off a little of that fatigue. I'm just not quite back. Plus, when you take a week off of heavy weight, it can kind of fool you where you think you maybe lost some strength. So it's a mental thing. You really haven't lost any strength. If anything, you've gained it. But handling, like say for today, 600 for 3, I wouldn't necessarily say that I was, the strength is probably there to go a lot heavier than that for a triple. But there's really no reason to max out, and that's what I'm trying to stress to you guys is each week we will be progressing, and you'll see 15, 20 pound increases for the next couple weeks and a few weeks going into the meet. That does not mean that I'm necessarily ready to just jump to 640 for a single right now or 650. I'm sure I could if I had to, but I would definitely be feeling it the next day, and I would definitely be putting myself into a predicament. I would definitely feel like I'm maxed out. I don't want that feeling until meet day. So I go about 90% effort, if you will, 100% focus in every training day, and just work up progressively until the meet. I have to stress that because I hear a lot of guys that feel like if they're not handling their max every week, they feel like they've lost their strength. It's not the case. You gotta trust the process. You gotta be willing to let go of that 1 rep max number, stop messing with it, drop down to 60, 70% if you have to, do a bunch of reps and build over time, 6 months time, to build up from that 315 1 rep max to 405 or 350 or whatever. You can't keep touching 315 thinking you're going to get stronger and get to 320. Last set of the day here is some tricep push down rope, and this is 180 pounds, 4 sets, 12, 9, 7, and 6. Very, very easy. Triceps are just on fire right now, in a good way, not necessarily a burning fire, but literally strong. I feel like I could just push a truck with these, but that's great going into the meet because I'm going to need it to push that 700 plus pound bench. So moving on, day 2. This is my accessory day. Some shoulders thrown in here, of course. Starting off with the rear delt pec on a pec deck, rear delt flies, and this is 140, 3 sets of 15. Feeling extremely good on this day. This is done after Christmas, so I'm definitely full from lots of food, lots of good family time. This is like 3 days after. Normally I'd hit this on a Thursday. This was done on a Wednesday this week, and gearing up for some heavy bench. Of course, next week gives me an extra couple days of rest, which is great. Like I said, in a lot of my earlier recaps and earlier in this one, rest and recovery, deloads are a staple in my training. You don't see me going 100% all the time. Most of the time, I'm out of the gym resting. I use the time in the gym to break the muscle down, and outside the gym to let it rebuild and get stronger. That's why I progress as fast and as rapidly and literally without injury as I do. See, moving on, this is kind of a precarious situation. This machine is definitely not big enough, but it's on the programming. I've got some seated lateral raises on the machine. These are just RPE 7. Probably could have done the whole stack and still been 7. 3 sets of 12. This machine just is not big enough to facilitate my size. But definitely happy once again with that 600 for 3. You know, I'm not one to go off of 1 rep max calculators. A lot of them are just kind of a good guess, but if I had a gun to my head right now, I could probably do 675 underneath the fatigue that I have. I've got 6 weeks to drop back the volume, to drop a lot of the extra sets and things that we don't need going forward into the meet. We will be obviously upping those bench stats. Those numbers will be getting heavier to get me used to heavier weight, so that meet day it's not doesn't feel foreign. I want to you know, once again stress that I will not be maxing until meet day, and meet day is where I want to put up the numbers, where I want the max to count. So moving on, I've got dumbbell bench press. The set called for 3 sets of 15 with the hundreds. Got a little excited and just went ahead and just did 45 reps, speed reps. Felt a nice little pump from this, just a nice different feel, very, very explosive. This is the time in the training where, like I said, the fatigue is typically at an all-time high. We will be backing it off, but to have this much explosion and speed with the weight, very, you know, obviously with 600 for 3, with the hundreds, with all the sets, this is very exciting because speed kills. Speed is what is going to make that weight move faster, obviously, and the less time that you're under the weight, the more weight you're going to move, the less fatigued you're going to be. So explosive speed right now is key. Feel faster than I've ever been, stronger than I've ever been, and this is a good feeling. I remember, because I take notes of all my training, obviously do recaps, and I make sure I notate what's going on, how I feel, what I'm eating. I mean, literally, I want to know from this cycle, from the last training cycles, and the one before I did the 702 attempt. This time of the season, I felt really slow, sluggish. I felt strong, but it was very slow. It's a different type of strong. This particular time around, everything just feels right. It feels like everything's coming together perfectly. The key here is to stay smart, avoid injuries, get very much rest and recovered from every single set, every single day, and to be able to pile on some more weight the next time safely. As you know, these are my straight arm, fully extended dumbbell pullovers. Went up to 55 pounds this week, 3 sets of 15. Really good stretch in the pecs. Shoulder isn't bothering me as much. That left shoulder was kind of clicking the last few weeks just from some underlying inflammation. Didn't bother my lifts any other than this particular move, but this definitely will stretch that out and get things working in there. I typically will ice my shoulders with just a shopping bag full of ice, like a Walmart bag or just a plastic bag for maybe 15-20 minutes every night, either on both sides or one side if it's bothering me more, my shoulders and triceps, anything like that. It really helps just to kind of get some new blood in there, even if it's not really an injury. It's just kind of a recovery thing. Plus, it helps me mentally. Sometimes the day before I go binge, Sunday nights, or if I'm binging on Monday, is I will ice my shoulders just to get any kind of excess inflammation out of there. It prepares me for the next day. I don't want any kind of clicking or I don't want anything that in there that's not going to allow me to move completely 100% smooth. Because as you know, if you've ever kind of binged and you have any clicking or any kind of off feeling, it throws you off. It really makes you think something's wrong, and it may not, or it might be something serious. But take care of your body, stay in tune with it, know how every single rep is supposed to feel, and know where your limits are. Get right up to them and then back off. It's when you go through them that you start getting into that gray area, and I stress that the best time for that is when you're actually maxing out in a competition, and if you were to get hurt, at least it counted. All right, so let's see, we got dumbbell paused tricep extensions, moving up to the 50s. This is 5 sets of 12. These are still hitting some crazy volume on the triceps. These definitely still make those pump up pretty good. I did start getting a little bit, it wasn't until like the 4th set on my left forearm, kind of on the outside in between my wrist and the elbow there. There was a little bit of a pain, which doesn't seem to be anything major, but sometimes this movement can hurt your elbows. I do like to wear my elbow sleeves typically on any of my accessories just to keep the joints warm, give a little extra support there. They're not giving me any bounce at all, so there's really no help in moving the weight, but it definitely helps with supporting that joint in there. I did ice my forearm after this, at night, just in case, and it really was nothing. It's not sore at all. I think it was just maybe in a bind on that particular set. I think it was this one where I started kind of feeling it, but this is a movement that is meant to really fire those triceps off, but because of the weight and you're having to put a little bit of torque on your wrist and your forearms, you can feel a little bit of discomfort, if you will. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to stop, but definitely pay attention to it if it starts getting too much. Like if I had to do like 20 sets of this, I probably would have stopped after 5 because I wouldn't want to press it too much. But these are definitely great to keep the triceps, throw some more accessories at the triceps, keep those strong and explosive. Obviously feel very explosive in the chest right now. I feel like I could, get whatever kind of weight I need to get off my chest. And then as it transitions into the triceps, I want to make sure those guys are ready for the task. I don't want the lockout to be the weak point by any means come meet day. Last set here. You can see on the left side here, I didn't keep my elbows in as close as I would like for 2 reasons. One is those dumbbells are pretty wide and I keep hitting my headphones. And 2 is a little bit wider out. The elbows are pointed out more than the first couple sets because those forearms were messing with me, specifically that left one. But nothing crazy. Very excited. Moving on to the last set here. These are IYT dumbbell raises, basically moving them up in a I fashion, a Y and then a T. These are great for shoulder mobility, getting some excess blood into the shoulders, very much like T3 raises, and then even like the front side and front lateral and rear delt raises. Just another way to hit the shoulders. Doesn't need to be super heavy. These are 5-pound dumbbells, but I felt every single rep. Just enough to get some blood flow in there, get a little warmth in the shoulder, finish out the week. Feeling great. But did get my programming for next week. I have 6:15 for a double. Won't be a PR, I have hit more than that, but definitely in the zone for moving forward to the meet. Very excited, feeling great. Just want to keep this momentum going right on into meet day. Just keep my mind focused, keep everything outside the gym in line, keep stress in line, keep my priorities in check. Making sure that everything that I can take care of gets taken care of before I walk into the gym. That way I have a good gym day. But very excited, like I said, going to be at the Nathaniel Center February 9th. It's the IPA No Excuses meet hosted by Tiny Meeker in his gym, Monster Garage, but Monster Gym. And you can find more on Instagram at Tiny Meeker. And then there's the IPA powerlifting page as well. And you can check them out. They're going to be doing some promotion on that. But anyways, going to be wrapping up this video here. I still have my 24-week bench program for $60. You can get it anytime, but if you get it between now and the end of the year, the 31st, you will be entered for a drawing to win one of 2 coaching spots. Check that out on my Instagram at SwimHack. You can also go to benchonly.com/training and find out all my programs that are going on there. I do have Full Power as well. But be sure to check out the latest issue of Power Magazine in that with an article about balanced life. But that is going to end it all for the week. Definitely thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And you can find me on Instagram at SwimHack. See you next week for week 18.